Hello, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, this channel is specially for Kingdom Motors, especially for Kingdom Voices, especially for generational voices, and you are welcome. If you are just joining us, I'd like you to quickly subscribe so that you can be carried along in the ride. There was a young minister who traveled miles to attend a very powerful conference. The speaker that day was not the loudest, not the most dramatic, but something about him carried weight. So after the session, people lined up not just to greet him, but to receive from him. They asked questions, they sought counsels, they treated his words like a treasure. Out of curiosity, the young minister asked someone, why does everyone honor him like this? The reply was simple, because he had written what God had taught him. And by that I mean because he had documented it into a book in a way that generations after him would still be able to receive his message. That is, even after he has grown old and is long gone out of this earth, he will still be preaching. That moment changed everything. He realized something. When your voice becomes a book, your influence becomes authority. Today, I want to show you how books build authority. Not just in the natural world, but spiritually, biblically, generally, and even generationally. Number one, books preserve your voice beyond the moment. A sermon can be powerful, a speech can be impactful, but a book remains. The Bible says in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2, write down the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Writing gives permanence to revelation. When you speak, people hear you once, but when you write, people can revisit you over and over and over again. Authority grows when your voice is no longer temporary. Number two, writing positions you not just as a speaker, but as a voice. Writing positions you as a source, not just a speaker. Anyone can talk, but not everyone can document truth with clarity and depth. When you write a book, you move from being a participant to a teacher, a listener to a voice, a follower to a reference point. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 12, of making many books, there is no end. Why? Because books are instruments of teaching and influence. When people need answers, they don't just look for who talks. They look for who has written. Talking about authors. That is authority. Books validate your experience and revelation. There are things that God has taught you that others need to learn from. But until it is structured, documented, and shared, it remains hidden. Paul, speaking in 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 2, said, the things that thou hast heard of me, commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also. This is called generational transfer. And writing is one of the strongest ways to do this. A book says, I have seen something, learned something, and I am qualified to teach it. That is authority. Number four, Jesus operated with written authority. Now, for Jesus to do that, you know that writing has a way of expanding your authority, has a way of giving your message an authority, has a way of turning you into an authority. Even Jesus, the Word himself, constantly referred to what was written. You hear? It is written, thou shalt not live by bread alone. It is written, thou shalt not put the Lord thy God to test. So even himself was constantly referring to what was written. Over and over again, it is written. Why? Because written words carry weight. When something is written, it becomes a standard, not just an opinion, so to say. If Jesus validated written authority, how much more we? Number five, books expand your reach without your presence. You can only be in one place at a time, but your book can be everywhere, anytime, in another city, in another country, and in generations to come. The Bible says in Psalms chapter 68, verse 11, the Lord gave the word. Great were the company of those that published it. Notice that phrase, published it. Publishing multiplies impact. Authority increases when your voice reaches people you have never met before. Number six, books build trust and credibility. When someone says that you've written a book, something shifts psychologically and spiritually. They begin to think, this person has depth. This person has invested time. this person carries something substantial. Because writing requires discipline, clarity, conviction. Authority is not just what you see. It is what you have proven enough to write. Number 7, books make you a generational voice. Many voices fade with time, but written voices, they echo across generations. As a matter of fact, we are still reading about Moses, about Jesus, about Paul, and many other Bible heroes and heroines. That's because their words were preserved. The Bible says in Isaiah 30 verse 8, "Now go, write it before them, that it may be for the time to come, forever and ever." When you write, you step into timeless influence. That is the highest level of authority under God. So let me end where we started. That young minister went back home, and instead of just preparing sermons, he started writing. At first, no one noticed, and then a few people started reading. They started reading his work, and then doors began to open. Years later, he didn't have to chase platforms. Platforms began to look for him. Why? Because he had become a documented voice. So my final charge to you is this. Listen very carefully. There is a message inside you. There is a revelation God has given to you. There is a wisdom the world is waiting for. But until you write it, you limit its authority. So start writing today. Not when it's perfect. Not when you feel ready. Start now. Because the moment your voice becomes a book, your influence steps into authority. And your authority begins to speak for you, even in rooms you've never entered. So write it. Publish it. Let your voice carry weight. Thank you very much. I'll see you again in our next episode next week. So till then, I am your favorite coach in this regard, Mr. Michelle Okorn.